Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Kristen Kiernan and welcome to the Women's Giving Network May Education Event Spotlight featuring Families Together. This is our second of 4 2021, gosh, I can't believe it's 2021 already, Education Event Spotlights hosted by the Education Committee. And our members on the Education Committee include Sandy Pierce, Anya Gordon, Hannah McGrath, and me. But before we start, and on behalf of our members, I would like to add our sincere thanks to Bank of America and Walter Magazine for supporting WGN. Thanks to them tonight, our event's going to be recorded and available to Walter readers to share with the tremendous work of Families Together and WGN with a much larger audience. We are thankful for your support. Thank you guys so much.
Amazing.
A couple of housekeeping items. Your lines are muted, so have them please remain muted. We all know the experience of dogs barking, cats walking on computers, or bunnies jumping. So if you could remain muted, that'd be great until you want to ask a question. Enter your name in the chat box so we know that you've come. If you're a guest, you could note that if you'd like. Any technical issues, please don't hesitate to use the chat message and we'll get right back to you. Throughout the program, if you do have a question, please type it into the comments section and we'll address it at the end. So just an overview of the agenda. I'll give a brief introduction to Families Together, introduce the Executive Director of Families Together, Lisa Rowe, and then she'll introduce the next speaker and so on until we come to questions. And then we'll turn it over to Amy Pirloslo, our president, to say a few words. Finally, I'll remind you all about the next events because it's really exciting as well. Tonight, we are excited to hear from one of our 4 2020 grantees, Families Together, who received $25,000 in grant from WGN. What I love and loved learning about this organization is that they focus on the social and emotional impact homelessness has on families, short term, but also with that eye on the long term, which is so important. Families Together provides a critical link to home and housing that supports hundreds of families experiencing homelessness in Wake County every year, and last year was no exception. The organization provides safe access to affordable housing, temporary rental and utilities assistance to get families started. And then it works with families for up to a year, providing that one-on-one counseling, connections to community resources, and the life skill workshops that really empower that self-sufficiency. In many ways, Families Together is the best hope for families that otherwise would fall through the gaps. Because of their emergency shelter and bridge housing program, it enables those families most at risk of separation to remain together while permanent housing is obtained. This evening, you'll hear from 4 speakers whose perspective range from executive director to the graduate named star. First, I will turn it over to Lisa Rowe. Lisa Rowe is the executive director of Families Together. She has over 25 years of leadership and management experience working locally in human resources. Early in her career, she was Wake County's first homeless service coordinator. For the past 6 years, Lisa served on the executive director with Families Together, where she works closely and tirelessly with the board of directors to set long-range strategic vision of the organization and oversees a growing team of over 20 dedicated members who carry out Families Together's mission to move families from homelessness to home. Check out their social media. They really have done a great job on all their videos on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's really quite exciting. So it is with my pleasure to turn it over to Lisa Rowe. Welcome.
Thank you. And I believe that Jen Paul, our development director, is going to be sharing slides during part of this. I'm not sure if that's happened yet, but yeah, I think we're getting started. So thank you, Kristen, and thanks to the Women's Giving Network for inviting us to join you this evening. And so let's get started. At Families Together, we believe every family deserves a home and children should never have to wonder where they're going to sleep at night. This is why we connect families to stable homes as quickly as possible and why we remain connected with them to ensure that they begin the process of bettering their lives. Children experiencing homelessness are more likely to drop out of school, be exposed to violence, and face a host of behavioral, social, emotional, and health issues. Keeping families together during this traumatic time is critical for their success as well as our communities. We were founded as Pan-Lutheran Ministries in 1980 by a small group of individuals from several Lutheran churches in Raleigh who came together to address an unmet need, starting with the Samaritan Inn, which provided housing for families from out of town who had a loved one at what is now Wake Med. The focus turned to family homelessness a year later, where it has remained, with the launch of Agape Place, an historic home in Oakwood, where services and congregate shelter were provided for homeless families. Our organization has grown and evolved over the years as national best practices change and as the community deals with new challenges. Today, we are known simply as Families Together, and we are the largest nonprofit in Wake County solely dedicated to ending family homelessness. We have a mission of moving, we have a mission of moving families in Wake and surrounding counties from homelessness to stable homes through mentoring, housing support, and connection to community resources. In terms of what we do, our core model centers on rapid rehousing, where we follow national best practices for the Housing First model with the children first focus. Our work is designed to reduce the number of nights a child is homeless by quickly moving the family into a safe, stable home, and then wrapping them with intensive coaching and support services for up to a year after housing has been obtained, to ensure long-term stability and self-sufficiency and to break the cycle of homelessness. We also fill a gap in the community by providing short-term housing and private 3-bedroom apartments located in a quiet residential neighborhood in East Raleigh. Families most at risk of separation in the traditional shelter system, like those with a father or an older male child, large families, for example, as well as families literally sleeping in their cars, they're prioritized to stay rent-free in one of our apartments while permanent housing is located. One thing that makes us unique is our holistic approach. For example, we now have a range of housing options, a continuum, to meet the needs of families where they're at, whether it's short-term shelter, rapid rehousing with financial support for startup housing costs, bridge housing where families move out of a motel and are able to stay in one of our units and save money to use towards moving into housing costs, transitional housing through our master lease program, permanent housing in the community with or without subsidy, housing in one of our own units, or home ownership. In some cases, families may go through several of these initiatives before becoming permanently housed, but regardless, we're poised to help families achieve their housing goals. In addition, to ensure long-term stability, we also have a new team that focuses on financial empowerment and employment, which you'll hear about a little bit more in a bit. And we have 2 mentor advocates who are licensed or in the process of becoming licensed clinical social workers who are well equipped to work with individuals with behavioral health challenges, ensuring they have the ongoing support, for example, of a therapist, medication management, or a clinical support team. This intensive support helps to ensure compliance with treatment and increases the likelihood of positive family outcomes. Putting it into perspective. So external pressures in our community have made it increasingly difficult for extremely low income families like those that we work with to access market rate rental units that are affordable. As an example, there is a gap of 22,000 rental units for families that are extremely low income. There is a dearth of unsubsidized housing that is affordable. Wake County loses approximately 1,000 affordable housing units annually, often in the form of naturally occurring affordable housing or older units that are either torn down and replaced with luxury units or renovated such that tenants are priced out. And of course, skyrocketing rent currently requiring an income of about $20 an hour to afford an average 2-bedroom apartment. The families in our program generally earn in the $10 to $12 an hour range. So where does this leave us? Sadly, we've seen an increase of 104% in student homelessness since 2010, 4 times the rate of the general population increase. This includes a quadrupling of families living in motels in the past 5 years. As a result of these external pressures, an estimated 6,500 children will experience homelessness in Wake County this year. So a year and a half ago, in response to the affordable housing crisis and its impact on our families and our work, we developed some new initiatives. They're listed here, and I'll give a quick example of each. Increasing our role in advocacy. We joined with community partners to advocate for and garner support for the Raleigh Affordable Housing Bond, which was passed with overwhelming support last fall. Beginning this year, funds will be available for a range of things, including land acquisition along new transit corridors, support for tax credit property development, and starting this summer, there will be $2 million available annually for small-scale nonprofit projects that target housing for extremely low-income households. We definitely plan to tap into these funds to support our development efforts. Growing the supply of affordable housing. So we implemented an affordable housing initiative that includes bridge housing to help move families out of unsafe budget motels, master lease program where we hold the lease and provide affordable housing for families not quite able to get into housing on their own due to things like poor credit, past evictions, low income. We then provide intensive case management, financial empowerment, and employment assistance for these families so they can eventually move into an apartment or a house on their own. We've also started purchasing properties and currently have 5 units that we use for affordable rental for families that have been in our program. And we plan to add to our portfolio in the coming years, and also plan to develop a cottage court community on land we own in East Raleigh, and more on this to come. I think Sarah's going to talk a little bit more about that. In terms of strengthening housing and family support programs, this was done by first creating a financial health advocate position and then expanding it to a team that also focuses on employment and increasing income. You'll hear more about that in a minute as well. It's been a big success. And then optimizing our organizational resources and infrastructure. We renovated our office 2 years ago to accommodate a growing staff, and now plan to expand our emergency shelter to add 3 more units, as well as a room for children's programming. So those are just some examples of those, what we're doing in terms of our strategic initiatives. Finally, I believe that the work we did gearing up to expand and enhance our programs and add components such as bridge housing, master leasing, and financial empowerment really helped to position us for a swift response to the pandemic. We very quickly ramped up our team and took on several short-term programs to address significant community needs as a response to COVID, including 2 that focused on families in motels, and which resulted in quickly enrolling 60 new client families, which was pretty incredible. We've worked hard to increase the number of families housed. We housed 59 families in 6 months last year, an increase of 150% from the previous year. So for the Women's Giving Network, $25,000 grant, thank you. Your investment has helped us to expand and grow and to house more families, and at an increasingly quicker pace. Having unrestricted dollars allows us to do the important work we do, but please know that we are platinum rated by GuideStar, and rest assured that we are careful to keep a focus on dollars going directly to programs and keeping overhead expenses low. If you have a passion for ending family homelessness, we need and welcome your continued support of our mission. Some examples of how you can get involved include volunteering, connecting us to landlords, advocating for affordable housing, donating, and doing supply drives. To present more about the vision and goals of Families Together, I'm pleased to turn it over to Sarah Wood. Sarah has served on the Families Together Board of Directors for more than 6 years. In her day job, Sarah is the Vice President of Global Work-Life Products and Services at Workplace Options, where she focuses on strengthening workplace effectiveness through integrated employee well-being services. I'm so pleased Sarah is here to share her perspective on Families Together and give you more information about our organization's vision and goals.
Thank you, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us tonight. I'm so looking forward to speaking with you further about Families Together and my involvement with them and a lot of the exciting things that we are hoping to accomplish. So as Lisa mentioned, I've been a board member for a little over 6 years now. I joined the board after having a social work internship with the program and getting to shadow one of the mentor advocates who's providing direct services to the families, including counseling, rehousing support, financial programming, and children's programming. I fell in love with the mission and the compassion that was shown from those in the organization and the board, and I knew I wanted to be a part of it. Families Together is so special for many reasons, and one of the reasons that I was really drawn to was the fact that we serve so many that have difficulties finding service otherwise in our community. When I first moved to Raleigh, I wasn't aware how prevalent family homelessness was in our area. I think when many of us think about individuals experiencing homelessness, there's a very specific picture of an individual experiencing homelessness, not a family. So to learn that there were so many in our community who were staying in extended stay or short stay hotels, sleeping on friends' couches, sleeping in cars, doing whatever they could to try to provide their family with shelter, it just drove me to want to be involved in a mission to be able to end that and try to help those families as much as possible. We can assist the large families like Lisa mentioned, so families with lots of children who might not be able to fit in a traditional shelter model with our large short stay apartments. We can also keep families together where some shelters may not be able to. I learned during my time serving the organization that if you have a child over 12, specifically a male child and you're a female parent, they would have to go into separate shelters. So I would have to go into a women's shelter and my son would have to go into a men's shelter. And so through our short-term apartments, those families can stay together. We can also serve single dads with daughters who would have a similar problem, grandparents raising grandchildren, really any type of family with children. And the fact that we were able to serve so many and help so many without boundaries really spoke to me. The best part about our mission, as Lisa said, is to keep families together in an effort to minimize that impact to children. It's amazing when you can hear from families who've served in our program who can say that my child never knew that we were experiencing homelessness, because we were able to either get them into rapid rehousing or get them into our short-term shelter program where we had children and families activities. They just thought they were staying at a new place with a lot of other families in their area. So that's something that is really special to me about Families Together. And I've talked a lot about direct service, but what I also wanted to talk about was the expansion of our work into affordable housing and advocacy. As Lisa mentioned, in the last few years, we really wanted to expand our mission into the actual problem of family homelessness and be able to make a dent in the affordable housing area in Raleigh, as well as try to impact and influence some of the legislation that's going through and the way that we can advocate for those families experiencing homelessness in our area. So we've realized how important affordable housing is in our community and how quickly it continues to diminish as Raleigh continues to grow. That's something that is always on my mind when we hear about all the wonderful things that are coming to Raleigh, all the big businesses, all the great opportunities. It does increase housing costs. It makes apartments very unaffordable for a lot of our families. So that is something that we have to keep in mind as Raleigh continues to grow. And Families Together has made a commitment to increasing the supply of affordable housing for families experiencing homelessness. I'm excited to give you a behind the scenes glimpse of our recent duplex renovation project and the future plans for the undeveloped land where the cottage, or where we're hoping that our cottage court can be located. So Jen, are you able to pull up the video of the 1109 Plainview Drive duplex renovation? Great.
Are you all seeing my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Getting ready to show it. Here we go.
2020, under our newly launched Affordable Housing Initiative, Families Together bought a house from a local church and began extensive renovations. The property would be used to create new rental housing that would be affordable for two families transitioning from homelessness. The house was divided into three separate bedrooms to accommodate larger families in our program. We are so grateful for all of our donors, volunteers, and partners who helped make this project a success. The extensive grounds will be used to build 8 to 9 cottage homes, so Families Together can accommodate even more families in the future. To learn more, visit our website at familiestogethernc.org/hope begins anew.
Thank you, Jen. I love that video because it's able to show you exactly where our donations are going to, and also volunteer work in action, what a difference that made to that duplex, and the fact that it's going to be fresh and new for 2 new families and their children to enjoy. In the video, we talked a little bit about a cottage court development. So a cottage court is a group of small houses that face each other inward into a common open green space, which is really ideal for families with children. If you're a visual person like I am, I encourage you to go to Google and after this presentation and Google cottage court development. And this is a model that's being done in some other communities. And you'll be able to see that it's small homes, again, facing inward on a common shared green space where children can play, families can meet together and enjoy time. Exciting news is that the city of Raleigh recently changed its building code to allow for cottage court developments on lots like we showed you in the video. And that particular ordinance change would actually allow for up to 24 homes on a lot of 1.5 acres. Our goal is to start off by piloting the model with about 8 to 9 cottage homes, and then follow that with additional small groupings to be built on the same lot in later phases. We're hoping that this model is going to be a good test model for this community, and will show other groups in the area that it can be successful and encourage them to do similar developments. We are hoping, again, to make an impact in the market in affordable housing in Wake County by influencing, again, other property owners and property managers through our partnerships, and also becoming a proprietor of affordable housing ourselves, and being able to move our families into affordable housing that we maintain and we oversee, so we won't increase their rent. They'll be able to live in that and stay in that long-term successfully. So as Lisa mentioned, we've really just been trying to evolve our organization with new skills and expertise. We've added new board members who are really strong in the areas of advocacy and affordable housing. We feel like all of these skills with new staff and new board members are really going to help propel us to scale up and achieve our goals. We've actually added 18 affordable units in our community in the 18 months since launching our affordable housing initiative. And we're poised to expand the initiative and strategic community partnerships to do even more to continue to end family homelessness. Some of you may have heard that in late 2020, Families Together was honored with a large one-time grant from the Jeff Bezos Day One Families Fund. This actually made a huge impact for us. We were able to pay off all of our mortgages and really accelerate plans that we had talked about for years in the future. We were able to quickly begin actioning those plans in 2021. So that was a huge honor, and we were very excited to be able to leverage those funds to move ourselves forward. And we have some very exciting goals for 2021 that I wanted to share with you. First, I did want to again thank you so much for choosing to invest in Families Together with that $25,000 grant. That's going to make a huge difference helping bring these goals to fruition. So thank you again for considering us and selecting us for that. It is going to make such an impact when we think about these goals. Our first goal goes back to that cottage court development that I mentioned. We feel like this is a very promising way to create affordable housing for families transitioning out of homelessness. Ultimately, with the amount of property that we currently own, we could build 24 small homes on that land. And because we own the land and carry no debt, the future cost to build will be much lower. It's in a fantastic location near downtown Raleigh, and it's just 2 blocks from the forthcoming bus rapid transit system on the New Bern Avenue corridor. For families transitioning from homelessness, proximity to reliable public transportation is key. And our goal this year is to build a blueprint for a replicable cottage court model with visioning sessions designed to create a shared community vision for the development. Our next goal is to expand our emergency family shelter. As I mentioned when I was talking about what drew me to Families Together, the emergency family shelter keeps families together. So those large families, the families with teenage male children or single dads with daughters, so families that might not be able to stay together in traditional shelters, that is what we're able to do with our emergency family shelter. So our plan is to increase shelter capacity from the current 4 apartment units that we have to 10 private apartment units. So again, I think when we think about shelter, we think about a large open space where a lot of families are staying together. This is actually a private apartment where families have their own bedrooms, kitchen, bathroom, and living area. We'll be able to accommodate various family makeups in the shelter because we'll have 6 3-bedroom units, 3 2-bedroom units, and then an efficiency, which we can convert into a training space, community space, or children's playroom when we're not using it for shelter. Our third goal is to continue as a lead housing support responder. So we'll continue to provide homeless families with housing search placement, temporary rental and utility assistance, life skills training, connection to community resources, and intensive case management. That wraparound support, again, is so important for families as they're going through this period of transition to be able to help them with all aspects of life that they're dealing with. Extremely low income families especially have been impacted by COVID-19 and will continue to have lasting impacts into the future, even when the rest of the country starts to move forward. So we will continue to have a lead role as a housing support provider in our community's coordinated response and give priority to these families. And our fourth goal is to launch and pilot a financial empowerment and employment project. This new project is already showing great promise in improving the financial health and well-being of the families we house and connecting them to better paying jobs. Better paying jobs are going to lead to more housing stability and financial stability for these families in the future. Fortunately, our resident expert on financial health is here tonight to give you a deeper dive about this project and how we plan to grow and institutionalize work that is so critical to a family's long-term housing success. So I am so pleased to introduce that expert. Her name is Harriet Reynolds. Harriet is the financial empowerment lead at Families Together, and she's been working in the nonprofit sector overseeing financial security programs for over 14 years. Harriet ensures families that are served by Families Together have the tools, knowledge, and confidence to thrive beyond their time with the organization. Harriet?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. And as Sarah said, I am currently the financial empowerment lead of an awesome financial empowerment team, also known as FEE. But before that, the agency has always known that our clients face a lot of barriers. And one of those barriers, obviously, is finances. And so our agency created a position about 2 years ago called the Financial Health Advocate, of which I was very fortunate to be able to move into that position, something I'm very, very passionate about. And because the agency, again, recognized that our clients needed someone to work with them in a more strategic and more in-depth way around their personal finances and money management. So in the role as the financial health advocate, I was able to work with our clients and help them to go just beyond budgeting. We know budgeting is important, but our clients also had more financial barriers besides just their budget. So some of the things that I was able to work with those families on for the 2 years was savings, their savings goals, having an emergency fund. One of the other barriers to getting housing is debt. So we were able to work with the clients on eliminating debt. And we also work with our clients on the impact that credit has. Sometimes the low credit scores would not allow them to get into housing. So we also knew that that was something very important. And the other thing that I was fortunate to do, which I feel very strongly, is we were able to empower our clients through our workshops. And so over those 2 years, again, I got to get in the trenches with the client, work with them more in depth, more one-on-one, and it was very successful. And we made a lot of impact on those clients. And the successes are too numerous to name, but I'll give you just a few examples that we're proud of. So we had a client who was in our master lease program. And when I started working with her, she had some major goals that she wanted to accomplish during the year that we worked with her. And one of the things that was near and dear to her heart is that she never wanted to experience homelessness again. She did not want her family to ever go through that. So she had a savings goal. She wanted to save so that she and her family could find permanent housing. She did not have transportation. And so she was taking the bus. She really needed a car. So one of the first things that she did was she accomplished that goal of getting transportation. And so through our partnership with Wheels for Hope, she was able to get that, to get a nice car and to get her back and forth to work, which again is one of the barriers sometimes to our clients, even being able to keep their housing, is transportation sometimes. She was also able to save over $6,000, and she was able to use those funds to house she and her family, and which they remain housed even today. So we're very happy and very proud of that accomplishment. We had another client who was one of our favorite fans of our workshops. She attended our workshops faithfully, the credit workshops, the budget workshops, all the workshops that we had. And this former client contacted us maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, could be a little bit longer, but she called to just give me an update on what was going on with her and her family. And she called to let us know that she had bought a new car, and she was able to do that because she increased her credit score to a 750. And it wasn't the fact that she was just able to buy a car, she was able to get an affordable car with a decent interest rate because of that score. So because of going to those workshops, she understood the impact of having good credit. And the other good thing about her, she let us know that her daughter, who's at Wake Tech, will be transferring to NC State for their engineering program. So we're also very proud of that. And then most recently, we had 3 clients who wanted to also move into permanent housing, but debt, specifically evictions, was a barrier for them. And so we recently had 3 clients who together have paid over $8,000 and eliminated the debt, specifically their evictions, which has opened the door. We just found out today, one of those 3 just got approved for housing today. So again, this just understanding and knowing, yeah, I know, right? The impact that position was able to make in some of the lives of our family was obvious. And so we also understand the barriers to housing is income. And I think one of the slides that was shown is that in our community, it takes about $19.73 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom house. Most likely a house is going to be more, but think about that. $19.73 is what's needed. On average, our clients make about $11 an hour. So we knew that helping our clients increase their income, find employment, whether that was just looking for a new career, going back to school. Some of our clients didn't have their GEDs. So that was a barrier to being able to earn more money. And because of that, our agency created an additional team to support the work that I did, and thus the financial empowerment and employment team, also known as the FEE team. And so what the team's main vision is to help our families have long-term financial stability. And of course, I needed help. And so the agency created this pilot program. It was introduced about 4 months ago, a little over 4 months ago. And our goal and our role is to address not only the financial aspects, but also that employment piece and the barriers. And so what we did was, for this program is we brought on 2 public allies, 2 amazing young women. Our first one is Tanisha, and Tanisha is our employment advocate. And she works specifically with our clients on finding employment, increasing their income. She works with them on, sometimes our clients come, they don't even have a resume, or the resumes they do have aren't professional resumes. So we spend a lot of time with helping our clients revise those resumes. She also spends a lot of time, she's amazing at it, with helping our clients before they go to an interview. We'll do mock interviews. We help them build their self-esteem. We talk about dress. We talk about all those things that typically have been a barrier to some of our clients to getting employment. She helps them with that. But the most important thing is she's really good at connecting our clients with really good job opportunities out there. And the other thing that we do is we have clients who have other career aspirations. And so we will help them with career assessments and kind of help them get on that path to having a career, hopefully for some of them, but and not just a job. We have another public ally. Her name is Megan. And Megan kind of has the best of both worlds. She works on the employment side with our clients, and she also supports Tanisha. But she mostly works on the financial health side. And again, Megan's role is to work with our clients to help them on their personal financial goals and to achieve long-term financial stability. And that includes, she's working with them on their budget, the same thing that I did, savings, debt elimination, all of that. And the employment piece and the financial piece works together. And so it's a perfect fit. So we're very, very happy to have Megan do that. Megan also, again, because we are new, and this is a pilot program, we want to really get an idea of the impact that our work is really having for the agency and on the clients. So Megan has been tasked with collecting data, providing data for us, and that's around outcomes and our successes and and things like that, not just for the feed team, but also for the program team as well. So we really feel collecting the information about the work that we do is very important as well. And some of the successes that we've had so far, there are also many, but to name a few, we've actually had about 10 clients who have found employment. We recently had a couple of clients who was able to increase their hourly wage by a significant amount. So we're very proud of that. We have also focused on establishing partnerships, and those are very, very, very important. So we've managed to establish some partnerships with some temporary agencies, a couple of them now, who have now started calling us, and they contact us when they have jobs. They're looking for us to, get our clients to them. So we're very, very, very proud of that. And in addition to that, as I mentioned, helping our clients with school, we recently had we have a partnership with Wait Tech, and we recently had a client who was accepted into their apprenticeship program, which will be starting in August. So the employment piece, the education piece has all been very, very, very successful thus far. The other thing that we do is workshops, which is near and dear to my heart. I'm a teacher at heart, so I love it. But we, not only the feed team, but the program team of which we're a part, excellent team, we facilitate 3 workshops a month. And those workshops have been very critical to the success of our families. And so the workshops under the umbrella of Housing Matters, Money Matters, and Employment Matters. And again, those workshops, the feedback that we're getting has been amazing. So we're very dedicated to empowering our clients through knowledge, and the workshops allow us to do that. One of the things that we are excited about is we are tracking how those workshops are actually impacting our clients' knowledge. So for example, I did a workshop last week called Understanding Your Credit. And so we do that by what we call pre and post surveys. The pre-survey with the workshop, Understanding Your Credit, that I did last week, they got 78% of the questions right. After the workshop, they did the post survey and they got 100% of those questions right. So we were so, I mean, that just, I know it's just amazing. But more than that, it was the feedback that we got. They want to sit down with us and go over their credit. They want to learn more. And so that's, to me, that's really the key. And we really do believe in that old saying, I'm sure you guys know this, knowledge is power. So the workshops are definitely one of the things that we're going to use. And the other thing that this team, along with the program team, is we want to give our clients the ability to change their own lives and their own destiny. So we are going to continue to work with them on the things that we talked about. And we also would like to expand not only the workshops, but create something where, you know, there's classes and there's other resources that the clients can connect to even more, because we're really seeing that they really do love the knowledge that's being provided to them. So our ultimate goal with our is to provide support, encouragement, knowledge, resources, and tools that's not going to only impact our clients' lives right now, but for generations to come. We want, as Lisa said, I believe it was Lisa, we want to break that cycle of homelessness. We want to break that mindset of around poverty. And we can definitely do that around that financial stability piece. And with that, we're going to continue to work with our clients on the credit and debt elimination and savings and wealth principles. And also one of the things Lisa mentioned, and one of those wealth principles is when people hear wealth like this, maybe they think gold or something, but in our mind, one of the wealth principles is home ownership. We have clients who are very capable. They have dreams of owning a home. And so one of our goals is to hopefully get our clients to see down the road and see the vision that home ownership is a possibility for them. So that's one of the very important goals that we would like to achieve. And again, we really do believe that that's possible with the help and the support of Families Together. So I'm very proud of the work we've done so far. And so now I would have the privilege and the honor to introduce one of our graduates. And Star is a former graduate, and I got to know Star she was one of those that attended the workshops. So I got to see and meet Star and her family at the workshops. And it's our hope that those workshops, along with her mentor advocate who worked with her, also contributed to Star's success. Star, I'm proud to say, is currently at East Carolina University, and she is completing a degree in urban planning. So welcome, Star.
Thank you. Thank you, Harriet, and thank you, Women's Giving Network, for having us and allowing me to share a little bit of my story and what brought me along this journey. I contribute a lot of everything that is going on right now to Families Together. Unfortunately, I experienced homelessness, and I don't particularly consider myself a homeless, and it's not really a thing, you know. I think a lot of people can kind of think of homeless as, you know, the guy on the street, to kind of echo what Sarah said, but it comes in many different forms, shapes, and sizes. I can attest to that. So, but we started our journey here in North Carolina. I was in a domestic violence situation with a 2-month-old at the time who was breastfeeding, and a 4-year-old. So 2-year-old and a 2-month-old and a 4-year-old at the time, in a domestic violence situation that just turned bad out of nowhere. We ended up, I had to leave. It was either, you know, leave the area that we were in, Los Angeles at the time, or, you know, anything could have happened. It could have been a detrimental situation. So we chose the latter, to leave. And when we came here to North Carolina, I do have family that's scattered around across the state. But coming from Los Angeles with a different set of skills, I went to school years ago for film production. So that was my thing. You know, I came to North Carolina, they were not making any movies here in Raleigh or anything of that nature. And a lot of my family lived in rural North Carolina. So to say the least, I was connected with Families Together, and they were able to just assist me in this, one of the darkest times in my life. I absolutely adore my children. I do everything I possibly can for them. And just the thought of being separated from them is triggering. So I couldn't imagine that. You know, earlier today, I may have wanted to have been separated from my 3-year-old when he was bouncing off the wall, but anything longer than that, than a few minutes, no, absolutely not. So I can't even begin to imagine what that would be like for people that run into homelessness. And it literally, what happened to me could happen to anybody. You can be in any kind of situation, and that rug can get pulled from under you. So that was our situation, but we were able to gather ourselves. We were able to get rehoused, and I've successfully have still been housed to this day. And immediately, well, about a couple months after getting into the place that we were in, we were able to establish ourselves. My daughter, when we first got here to North Carolina, she had a speech impediment. She wasn't really talking a lot. And it was very concerning on top of the layers of everything else that I had to deal with being a single parent and single provider. To say the least, fast forward about 6 months into stable housing, I got enrolled in school. I started at Wait Tech, and I had a vision to go ahead and get things done. And with the help of working with Kit through Families Together, I was able to be at all of those meetings for the credit and make sure that was getting squared away as I was going through this journey of reconstructing my life and, you know, being a single mother, because that in itself is a job. So I was able to do that and work with her, and just having that support system there was just extremely vital, because if you're homeless, 9 times out of 10, there's not a huge support system around you, and a lot of people can't really sell into some of your specific needs. So with a mentor advocate that was able to kind of, you know, dissect some of the things, the extra things that were going on outside of the housing. It's not just housing. That was a huge factor for me, as because those lessons that I learned in that process, they were able to stick with me and maintain housing. So ultimately, about 6 months in, my daughter is excelling in school. She's teaching her peers, you know, how to spell and talk. And I'm just like, who is this child? Like this, when we were homeless, this was not the situation. She wasn't talking much at all. And to kind of echo off of what Sarah said earlier, you know, we got housed pretty quickly. I was fortunate enough to not have to be in the shelter situation. But we got housed pretty quickly, and my kids, they didn't really notice. My son wasn't really talking at the time, but my daughter was just like, well, Mom, we're hanging out in Raleigh a lot, you know. But ultimately it was a pretty smooth process, and I thank them so much for that. They didn't make me feel less than a woman for, you know, being homeless and having 2 kids. You know, I didn't feel beat down through the process. That's another thing, because ultimately, when we fast forward and we come full circle, I'm at East Carolina University now. I'm studying to be an urban planner. I'm on the advocacy committee for Families Together, and ultimately that is creating another contributing citizen in our community, because, you know, from experience, I feel like I'm gonna make one of the best planners when it comes to affordable housing, because I've been there. And, you know, I'm not here to judge you, because again, this can happen to anybody. So I just really appreciate the compassion that was there working with them. They bleed this, you know, this is what they do day in and day out. And the compassion is just so extremely important and vital when you're going through this super dark moment of your life of not knowing where you're going to live. And then, you know, on top of everything else that may be going on. So my daughter ended up valedictorian of the first place that she graduated from as a little preschooler. But she was outshining everybody. She ended up getting a scholarship, and now she's in engineering school in first grade. And she's kicking butt out there. She's challenging me. I'm in college as well. She's like, Mom, you have to do what I do. And I'm like, wait, you know, it's a little hard, but yeah, she's setting the bar here. She's setting the bar. And I say that to say, you know, being housed had a huge impact on her being able to excel. It gave us a sense of stability. It gave us a sense of being able to move forward and not worry about, you know, where we're going to be. Are we safe? You know, we had that in the bag, and that allowed us to be able to move forward victoriously. I'm in my last year at ECU. I should be easing on out of there next year and starting my journey into urban planning. And I'm super excited. Super grateful. And the impact that an organization like Families Together has, it just allows great humans to really surface. A lot of people in situations like this, their situation has the legs to be something detrimental. They could turn to drugs, they could turn to alcohol, they could turn to all kinds of things. But having this structure in place to help them and assist them in all realms of their life allows them to become better citizens. They just need a hand up, not hand out all the time, just a hand up to get these things done. And that's exactly what they did for me. And I'm super excited to be able to sow back into the community through their organization. I will be interning with them this summer. So I'm super excited to learn about all the things that they have going on and kind of applying that to my field of planning and the things that I've been learning, and just really moving forward victoriously. And I'm, again, super grateful for what they've done. Super grateful for contributors like the Women's Giving Network, having the heart and the vision to see what an impact sowing into the homeless community can have on your community and the future and everything that is going on around us, because we're all in this together. And ultimately, my heart goes out to everyone involved. And I really appreciate everything so much. Thank you.
That was great, Star. Thank you so much for for sharing and sharing your journey, and congratulations. Very impressive, and whatever community is fortunate to have you and your children. So kudos to you, and congratulations to the Families Together Network, because it really is just an amazing organization. Lisa, I didn't know if you wanted to say a few words, or do you want me to turn it over to Amy? What would you prefer?
I'm fine turning it over to Amy. I was touched by everybody who spoke. Honestly, on the side, I've been like texting Sarah and Harriet. I'm getting ready to text Star and say, oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. You touched me, they touched me. And, it's just, we're all in it together. And I see some of the comments about Star, and I had just written down the enabling great humans to surface thing. I just written it down and someone else commented on it. I just, this powerful stuff. There's no shame in homelessness. It's really about, at least with family homelessness, is a lot about poverty. And I appreciate people working hard to make a difference in this situation. I think it might get harder before it gets better, but we're in it. We're in it for the duration.
Well, thank you so much, and that's why I love being part of WGN. We get exposure to the amazing work that organizations like you do for folks that we just don't know about. So thank you for enlightening us, for educating us, and for all that you do. So thank you. Sandy, actually, were there any questions in the chat that should go to the audience or anything like that before I turn it over to Amy? You're on. If you could unmute, Sandy, we probably could hear the questions a little bit. There we go.
I'm going to my chat right now. Okay, let's see. One question that I have is, what type of waiting list do you maintain?
Oh yeah. I was just kind of scanning the chat comments, but to be honest, the way it works now is that we, as with all providers in the community, we receive referrals through a coordinated access system. So we don't really have a waiting list. We get matched with families that meet the criteria, whether it's they're homeless, they're, with their priorities. But it's a very different situation than it was a few years ago, when people could just, call us and seek services. Now it's all very centralized, and there's a number to call, and people, individuals or families are just referred to agencies based on when they have openings. So we don't really have a waiting list.
And then there's another question. Will the cottage court eventually allow home ownership, or is it more of a bridge?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Initially, our thinking is it will be permanent, affordable rental. That doesn't mean that we couldn't change it at some point to, rent to own or home ownership, because they will be houses, which is a little different than, apartments. So something to consider. At this point, we're looking at it as rental, but who knows?
Okay. Another is, how many families are you currently serving, and are families currently living in a cottage court housing?
Yeah, I just did ran the numbers the other day, and I'm trying to remember. I think we have, it's a little bit less than 100 families enrolled. About 35 have not yet been housed, and the remainder are housed, and we're providing ongoing stabilization services for. The cottage court development is still a dream, so nobody's living there yet. We hope to, maybe break ground with that next year.
Okay. What are the community organizations you work most frequently with?
I'm gonna let Harriet answer that. Are you good with that?
Thank you, Lisa. God, there's so many to name. We work with, of course, all of the shelters. We work with organizations that provide other support for our families, like Dress for Success. We partnership with, like when I mentioned Wheels for Hope. We partner with the 4-H. So there's many organizations that we, the food bank. So there's many organizations that we partner with. And right now I can't think of all of them, but
Green Chair.
Green Chair,
another,
there
yeah.
you go. Green Chair is one of them. So one of the things that we're very focused on are those strategic partnerships. So I can't name them all, but that's just an example of some of the company agencies that we partner with, including businesses as well. Some of our partners are funders, the banks. So
thank you. What is your ongoing funding plan?
I guess Jen's probably not gonna chime in here, so I will. So ongoing funding plan. Well, we have the development committee has some pretty strategic goals in terms of fundraising, but we will continue to diversify where we get our money from. We like to have it, as broad as possible. At one point, government funding made up a lot of, what our funding. It doesn't so much anymore, except for because of COVID, it does. But I think that will, change back. But we're seeking funding from corporate sponsors, corporate partners, faith-based groups, individuals, foundations, government funders. And, the more that we can have a variety of funders, the less likelihood of, if one of them pulls out or is no longer available for funding, the less the impact.
Sandy, I think that was,
Can I also just, I'm sorry, let me
Oh,
just
no, go
finish
ahead.
one thing about that. So we have gotten, I think it was perhaps mentioned, this significant funding from the Jeff Bezos Day One Families Fund. And, you know, we look at that as seed money, not, we could just do things because things like affordable housing development costs a lot of money. But we could at least use those funds for startup costs, for seed money to supplement affordable housing bond dollars. So it's not, so it will be trying to match dollars that are available with the funds that we have. And I could see Jen's getting ready to chime in. So.
Oh, okay. I would just, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just going to add that we also, with this affordable housing program or initiative and the owning property that we are renting, that is a new source of income, earned income through the rent. While families are not paying anything more than 30% of their income on their rent, it is helping to defray the costs of the property and a new source of income. But what's really key for us is that diversified base of funding that's growing, and we have more than doubled, I think, in the last 5 years, especially in private funding sources. As Lisa mentioned, we're much more, we don't want to become overly reliant on government funding.
That's great. Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. And it's my pleasure now to turn it over to our president, Amy.
Thanks, Kristen. And thank you to you as well as everybody who helped put this wonderful event together. I'm not sure I could say anything to wrap this up that would be very powerful, but I will say I am incredibly impressed. Lisa, Sarah, Harriet, Jen. Try saying that fast 3 times. Everything you're doing, from advocacy to kind of the holistic approach to helping your clients, to the innovation of the College Court development, really, really super exciting. That you're really kind of serving the needs of today in this really kind of fully holistic wraparound service way that is not just getting at the the symptom, which is homelessness, but some of the other root issues of homelessness is just amazing. And I don't know how you do it all. And then Star, my goodness, I wanted to cry as you were telling your story. I have 5 children myself. I had lots of help and support, and I cannot even imagine being a single mother and trying to pull it all together. And you've just done that so beautifully. I think you said, the organization helps great humans be able to surface. I would say helps them be able to shine. You are amazing in the courage and the tenacity you've shown. And I think the other thing you said that really resonates is that it can happen to any of us, right? And we saw that happen during this COVID crisis, people standing in food lines that never dreamed they would be standing in a food line, right? And so I just cannot thank you enough for being brave enough to share your story with us and being such a great advocate for families together. So thank you all. I cannot, the amazing work you do in our community. So thrilled and so proud that the Women's Giving Network has supported you. And we hope that tonight's event will continue to help amplify the great work that you're doing. And I will close it out by once again thanking our partners, Bank of America and Walter Magazine, for helping us be able to record this tonight, allow you all to use it for your fundraising and education efforts moving forward, and to help more people learn about the amazing work that you do in our community.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Have a great evening. Goodbye.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you. And we have one final slide that just says thank you again and gives a heads up to our next event. So mark your calendars, gas up your car because we're hoping it's going to be live and in person. So a thank you to Families Together. Thank you, Bank of America. Thank you, Walter Magazine. Thank you, the WGN, for all that you do as a team. And we look forward to seeing everyone and really seeing you all on August 31st, where you will hear from Haven House. So thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. And a special thanks to Beth for producing this. Thanks, Beth. Have a good one.